Like Pinocchio's nose, the scams from this party continue to grow. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, March the 26th. And I hope everybody had a great weekend, enjoying the wild NCAA tournament with no one seeds left. In the meantime, of course, the markets were pretty mixed. We'll get into that in our market report, but the scamming of Americans continues as our great president continues to lead us with a bunch of bullshit. First of all, telling us how good a shape the banks are in. And if you believe that, I get a bridge to sell you in the middle of the desert. Okay? Because, again, if you believe that there's only 3 banks that are in trouble, and if you believe that they're in good shape, that they're not over-leveraged, as we have contended here for about a year, then you're in trouble. Because the banks are in big trouble. And you did not see, you're not paying attention. And, of course, the warning shots have been fired. The warning signs are out there. It is up to you to listen to them. But, you're seeing the biggest outflows in histories, okay, which is the biggest withdrawals. What you have to remember, though, about numbers is that obviously they're much bigger because, of course, we have such dramatic inflation, of course, that the scamming left doesn't tell us about either, okay? They continue to, try to mislead what is factual, okay? And factual is that inflation is through the roof. And you're paying much more than 6% more on your grocery bill than you were paying just probably 6 or 7 months ago. You're probably paying close between 20 and 30% more than you were. And that's conservative if you're a conservative shopper. So they can continue with the lies, but the lies beneath, are ridiculous. I mean, the headline news that you get masks what the real fact is, and the real facts is that we have big troubles here, and we're going to only see them get worse as we see the price of oil continue to fall. And what does that really mean? It really means that there's some trouble in front of us because the economy's bad. And Saudi Arabia, I'm sure, is helping OPEC and Saudi Arabia, the criminals that they are helping keeping us flowing in oil because they know there's not much demand because Americans can't afford to drive just to back to work and forth. All right. So, but don't be surprised when we get into actual driving season, which is right around the corner, if there isn't suddenly some sort of a shortage of oil, that suddenly prices spike and we get back to over $5 at the pump. The crisis that I'm referring to is really the crisis that was never solved. If you go back to 2008, if you've been listening to me that long, you're old. No, if you've been listening to me that long, I said in 2008, and in 2009, and in 2010, that we should not bail out the banks and should have never done so. So why are we going to go make the same mistake again? Because remember, as I remind you on a weekly basis, that the government isn't bailing out the banks. The Federal Reserve isn't bailing out the banks. You and me are bailing out the banks. It is our tax dollars that go to fund these bailout programs. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. Okay? And I want to know why they don't solve the problem properly. I want to know why the federal government doesn't live on a budget, and that applies to every administration since I've been around. Okay, I want to know, why we have to that the FDIC insurance that is spelled out in plain English, is insured to $250,000 per account. Why is Janet Yellen having the banks, the SVB Bank, Silicon Valley Bank, bail out and give back the money to the depositors that are over $250,000. Of course, we know that SVB is a big donor to the party in power right now, which I wonder why. I wonder if it was a Republican bank or a Libertarian bank, what kind of money they get back. Okay, but again, that is the rule states very simply. There should be no issue. Okay, and bankers have told me that there is no issue, but all of a sudden it became an issue. Okay, now Jerome Powell, our good buddy over at the Fed, he wonders how could bank failures happen. Well, how do they happen? You allow the banks to over leverage. You by law you're giving them 10-to-1 in fractional banking. You gave them more, and of course the accounting practices that banks use is suspect. If you can take in a liability and account for it and then turn it into an asset and then lend out 10 times that amount, there's something wrong with that accounting practice. Why is it that we as Americans who fund all this bullshit, why is it we are not entitled to a legitimate audit from independent accountants that could actually tell us if these banks would legitimately pass a stress test? Okay? Now, the GOP has just proposed a new bill to expand the HSA. For those who have HSA accounts, health savings accounts, they approved a bill to you can get bigger HSA accounts, which is actually just another way of saving tax-free if you don't need it for medical. And of course, I'm sure it'll get voted down because it's good for you. It's good for me. It's good for anybody who has had or uses an HSA account, health savings account. It's help for your medical care and things like that. That's where you put a lot of your money at to prepare and to save. But again, that's a great bill. That's a great bill for Americans that need it. Okay. Now, durable goods continue to fall, and new orders continue to decline. Well, when you're a service country, you're not producing anything. All right, and aren't you tired of not producing? I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of China. Okay, I'm tired of giving them our money. I'm tired of them trying to take control, and I'm tired of the COVID that they brought over here on purpose. Okay, why are we not producing here? Tell me. Okay, again, what? Because how much cheaper is it? And what red-blooded American wouldn't want to pay for something that was American-made, that helped American families and helped this country grow stronger? I don't know. You tell me. I don't know, so many things going on. The Michigan has become the first state to repeal the right to work law. The right to work law, you ask, what is that? The right to work law was that if you are a member, if you work for a company that is in a union shop, you don't have to be a member of the union. Okay? Because, unions, when they were first designed, were terrific. Okay? Like minimum wage, unions were a very big necessity back when they were first invoked, when they were first used. But they become profit centers for big companies, okay, and for some of those that are not so up on the square, all right. And the unions have built a lot of the casinos in Las Vegas back in the day. And unions are not the benefit, but the dues that you continue to pay are usually a big chunk out of your paycheck. But Michigan is stating that why should you be able to work for a company, okay, that has a union and not be unionized and get the benefit of the union representation? And I say that the unions don't represent me, the employee. The unions now represent themselves as a business because they charge, the union dues are so high that it basically takes a portion of every raise I get. They're almost like an agent. And I can work for less and have better working conditions without them. Okay, again, I think that unions have outlived, at least unions in their current state have outlived. But to repeal the right to work law which now that does not, you cannot work at places. They have the right to hire you if you're not part of the union, which is, again, to me, it's just another scary thought and another way that your freedom and my freedom is being stolen by government. And of course, the World Bank just said that the reconstruction of Ukraine will be about $411 billion. Now, let's see who's telling us this. The World Bank, the biggest piece of shit there is. The IMF, the WHO, and the World Bank are three of the crappiest organizations in the world, filled with criminals, filled with those that have no regard for the average person in the world, for the middle class of the world. They could care less. Okay, they're telling us how much this shit's going to cost. Okay, to rebuild a country that we've already sent over more than $400 billion to. It is an absolute joke that I can't take it. And I mean, I'm telling you that this whole thing is becoming very frustrating. It's becoming very dangerous, and the freedom that we continue to lose because these idiots want us to be enslaved into socialism, communism, or Marxism. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz. We're going to step out here for a break and be back with our market report here on Sunday, March the 26th. Well, kids, what's up? Well, market's kind of wild, the world kind of nuts, but of course we've got some good partners for you, and I only focus on what I think will benefit you. And we've got two brokerage sponsors here. And I have many brokers, but I do have two that I prefer, and one is Capital Trading Group, and they're our partner in Day Trader's Dream. They're our partner in help with our letter direction trading. They are by far the best in the futures and commodity industry because of their customer service. Okay? I'm worried about service. All right, that's what I worry about. But I urge you to check them out. Okay, again, listen, if you don't want to use them, no problem. Okay, I urge you to check them out though, because I'm giving you things that I vetted myself that I think would be beneficial for you, and that's info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. It's scrolling on the sides here. info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. And of course, Trader Brokerage. I mean, first of all, Trader Brokerage, $10 a month flat. Great customer service. They auto trade if you want them to. It's your choice. Okay. And they're still $10 a month. If you want to hedge and have it automated, they can do that as well. We charge a licensing fee. So, I mean, but they save me over $100,000 a year and everything. When I'm traveling, my trades are all done for me. Okay. Check them out. It's try.trader.com/Bubba. That's try.trader.com/Bubba. And that's also scrolling on the sides there. And of course, our high school program, which we're giving it one last stab to try to get back in. But, with these unions and these teachers that, don't have to teach anything, they don't want to teach it. So we'll see. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horowitz, Sunday, March 26th. Let's get back for our market report right now. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, March the 26th. And of course, we always do our market update and our market report. And of course, last week was kind of choppy. We had a sell-off, and then we had a big rally. And of course, then after Jerome Powell came out and announced what he knew, the market sold off. And then, of course, Thursday they rallied, and Friday they were all over the place. So at the end of the day, we're probably pretty much flat unchanged. We're still in consolidation, and I think that the markets are getting ready to make a much bigger move. Okay, and I do believe that move will be lower, but even our positions are kind of split as to where we're going to go. I just think that there's a lot of problems that we're not addressing and we're ignoring, and I think that you'll see. But we'll see. We're not going to fight whatever it is. We're going to go with the flow. And as you know, either way, I'm always invested to the long side of the market. So in the meantime, the S&P, Dow, NASDAQ, and Russell, which we're long the S&P, we're long the NASDAQ, short the Russell, short the Dow. They're kind of stable. Not a big move either side. Either side haven't changed. Okay, we remain in those same positions. The U.S. dollar, we no longer trade. We would be short dollars if we did trade them, but we no longer trade them because, again, there's a lot of reasons for it, but the bottom line is because of costs and other things that we have to pay to trade them, we just chose not to. The euro currency continues to go up. Amazing for me because I think it's garbage. But again, I think all fiat currencies are garbage anyways, and they're all fraudulent. But in the meantime, the euro currency, we continue to be long. Bitcoin has made a big move. That big move started, off of 20,000 as we said it might. Plus, it also started off of the bank stuff, and that's kind of telling you that those that are concerned about the banking industry are willing to put their money elsewhere, and that's I think what you might have seen. We continue to be long. Bonds and notes charging higher. Had some wild volatility this week, but charging higher. We're still long both. I hate it. I don't like being long both. I believe interest rates are going a lot higher, and I think that some think that they may stop. They might even cut. I think they're going higher, which would bring these products down. But for now, we're still long. Gold got over 2,000 a couple of times before failing, but it is holding at much higher lows, so that's a good sign. And we are long gold. We are long silver. And we would be long platinum, except we don't trade it anymore because it's not liquid enough. But, I think gold will make new highs this year. I mean, we're not that far now. And I do think silver will get in the mid-30s, and we're not that far now. I mean, we're in the mid-20s, but, again, it's not that big a rally once you get there. So I think you'll see some pretty good action. I think there's, a lot of reasons for it. But, again, eventually markets break out, and they either trend higher or lower. And I think it's time for the gold and silver and other commodities to start to trend higher. In copper, we reversed to long. I don't really like that either. Again, I don't trade my opinion, but I will give it to you. I don't see the demand. I think housing sucks. I think there's a lot of problems out there. I think there's a lot of production problems. So we'll see. Again, I'm not going to fight the trend. And of course, natural gas is lower, and of course we continue to be shorted along with crude oil. Now, crude made a pretty big rush late in the week, but then got cracked. As I told you in the opening, I think there's a lot of funkiness in this oil market right now, but a lot has to do with demand and the economy. And I think with the economy going to struggles, and then I'm telling you, I'm predicting that Saudi Arabia makes us short oil when it comes into the middle of driving season. So I would be very careful there. But in the meantime, as I said, we are short. In the grain markets, grains, they continue to struggle a little bit. Corn, we are long. Soybeans and wheat, we are now short. Again, I think there's a big market coming. I thought Friday's action was really interesting. Looked like, mimicked almost like a potential short squeeze. So we'll see what happens. But I do think they're going to break hard to the upside. I think that, the whole commodity sector is going to pop here pretty soon. The cattle market continues to drift higher. Listen, there's a shortage of cattle, which is part of it. Cheaper oil prices allow for people to buy cattle, and because hogs continue to go down. But if you do look out into the future pricing for hogs is much higher than it is today. So I could see that those may have found a bottom as well. But we would be long cattle and short hogs right now if we were trading them. Cocoa is rallying hard, and of course we're long. Cotton continues to get hammered, and we're still short. Sugar is lower, and we're short. OJ, beyond me, what's going on here? But we're long, but it keeps going up like it was free. I mean, it's amazing that it hasn't really affected, but at the stores. I mean, what are they going to be charging in the stores? And of course, coffee is lower, and we're still short. And I want to remind you, if you understand what the farmers are going through here, which is why I'm even believing more there's a big market coming, farmers are going to be struggling here. Now, either somebody's trying to keep these markets under pressure while the retail price explodes, while their input costs explode. Think about that. It's an important factor here that could create some major shortages and create some much higher prices because they could explode when they go. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. That was our market report. We're going to step out here for our final break and come back with, of course, my opinion and, of course, some NCAA picks. In the meantime, Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, March the 26th. Well, kids, again, I'm not going to go through the whole speech and the spiel. Just on the sides, Capital Trading Group, Trade Your Brokerage, the links and everything is out there for you. I urge you to check them out. Whether you use them or not, that's up to you. I urge you to check them out because you'll be beneficial and it will save you time, money, and grief. And of course, on the bottom is our high school program. We're trying to salvage it, but it's cost me a fortune. And with the last few years, with some of the help from you on Patreon, but it's the trying to help is outweighing the helping. So we'll see. We'll get back. We'll keep you posted. In the meantime, if you want to help us out and see if we can get it through, that'd be great. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my opinion. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz, and it is Sunday. And, of course, last week we gave you the report. If you're woke, you're broke. And not Biden's tax hall will take you. Well, I say a lot of it in jest, but the woke society is extremely dangerous. If you understand what is behind all this woke shit, Antifa and all these other protesters and all these big movements that have created this massive amount of hatred and this massive amount of divide and separate people from one another. I have never seen in my years as much hatred in this country as there is today. I hear threats, I hear all these things, and it all comes down to money and damage and control. Now, they continue to strip your freedom and convincing you to be woke from every walk of life. I don't have enough time to explain each individual detail, which is my opinion. But the woke movement is a movement that is going to turn America into a toilet. And if you were happy with what happened through Antifa, through some of these protests, through some of the movements that we've watched over the last few years, and the dividing of this country that has happened since our nice, great new president has been in power, you better think again. There's a lot of stuff in there, and there's a lot more beneath the surface. And most of those are paid protesters. They're not real protesters that have a real axe to grind. They are protesters that are paid by some of the very wealthy in this country that are trying to disturb the equilibrium and the law and order that we have here. And quite frankly, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of watching law and order disappear in the United States of America. We need to get back to having a strong hand, not only here, not only against our criminals, but against the rest of the world, so we can regain control of the world order. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, and of course it is NCAA Sunday, okay? And we've got, we like both games a little bit, like Creighton over San Diego State, and we like the Texas Longhorns, which is still our pick to win the whole tournament. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, March 26th. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you here tomorrow with Bubba's Daily Update, and of course, next week with another Bubba's Bottom Line.